The alarm bells rang across New Pyongyang at 3 in the morning. Captain Jiho rolled out of bed, his old knees protesting as they always did. He had been the colony's defense commander for 20 years now, and in all that time the alarms had never meant good news. He pulled on his uniform and ran outside. The streets were filling with confused colonists, their faces lit by the orange glow of emergency lights. Someone grabbed his arm. It was Dr. Yuna, the colony's chief engineer. Her eyes were wide with something that looked like fear, or maybe excitement. "You need to see this," she said, pulling him toward the command center. Inside, young Taeyang stood frozen at the sensor station. The historian was barely 24, born and raised on this world. He had never seen Earth, never known anything but the stories the elders told. Now his hand shook as he pointed at the screen. "Something's coming," Taeyang whispered. "A ship." Jiho felt his heart stop. A ship. They had been alone for 247 years. 2.5 centuries since their colony ship had crashed here, since the solar flares had destroyed their communications, since Earth had gone silent. Most people had given up hope decades ago. Many believed Earth itself was gone. "Where is it coming from?" Jiho asked, leaning over the console. Taeyang's finger traced a line on the star map. "That's the problem, sir. It's not coming from Earth's direction. It's coming from deep space, from beyond the rim, from a place where no human has ever gone." The room went quiet. Yuna moved closer to check the readings herself. Her face grew pale. "The energy signature is wrong," she said. "It's not human technology. At least not any human technology in our database." Jiho's mind raced. First contact with aliens? After all this time? Or was it something worse, pirates? Scavengers who had found their distress beacon? "How long until it arrives?" he asked. 6 hours, Taeyang said. Jiho immediately called an emergency council meeting. Within the hour, every section leader sat in the main hall. Hana, the agricultural director, looked worried. She was one of the oldest colonists, her face marked by years of hard work under the harsh sun. Could it be rescue? Someone asked. From the wrong direction? Another voice answered. That makes no sense. The debate grew heated. Some wanted to power up their old weapon systems. Others wanted to broadcast a greeting. A few wanted to hide and hope the ship passed them by. Jiho raised his hand for silence. "We've survived this long by being smart. We'll prepare for the worst and hope for the best. Power up defenses, but don't target anything yet. Keep broadcasting our identification on all frequencies, and get me every detail about that ship." The next 6 hours felt like 6 years. Yuna and her team worked to analyze every scrap of data from the sensors. The ship was massive, bigger than their original colony vessel. Its design was strange, almost familiar, but wrong somehow. Like seeing your face in a broken mirror. When the ship entered orbit, Jiho stood on the landing field with 50 armed colonists behind him. His hands were steady, but his heart pounded. After 2 centuries of silence, someone had finally come. The question was why. A shuttle descended from the orbiting vessel. It was sleek and perfect without a scratch or dent. The technology was clearly advanced. Too advanced. Their own ships were held together with spare parts and prayer. The shuttle landed softly. Steam hissed from its cooling vents. Jiho's people raised their weapons. The airlock opened. Humans walked out. Jiho had prepared himself for anything. Aliens with tentacles, robots, monsters, but humans. That was somehow more frightening. These humans were different, though. Their movements were too smooth, too perfect. Their eyes had a faint glow that wasn't quite natural. They wore no environmental suits, even though New Pyongyang's atmosphere was thin enough to make breathing difficult. The leader stepped forward. He was tall, young-looking, maybe 30 years old, but his eyes held something ancient. "I am Commander Daehyun," he said in perfect Korean. Not the dialect that New Pyongyang had developed over 2 centuries, but the original Earth Korean from before the colony ships left. "We detected your distress beacon." "You're human," Jiho said stupidly. "Yes," Daehyun replied. "We are human." "Where are you from?" Hana asked, stepping forward. "Earth sent you?" Daehyun's expression was sad. "No, Earth didn't send us. We are not your rescue party, though we wish we could be." "Then what are you?" Yuna demanded. Daehyun looked at each of them, his strange glowing eyes seeming to see right through them. "We are your descendants," he said quietly. The words made no sense. Jiho shook his head. "That's impossible. We've been isolated here for 200 years. You can't be descended from us, not from you, Daehyun said. From Earth. From the same Earth that sent your ancestors here. But we left Earth much later than you did, and we traveled much faster. Another human stepped forward from the shuttle. She was smaller, with kind eyes. My name is Dr. Suji. Please, this must be confusing. Can we talk inside? We have much to explain. Against his better judgment, Jiho agreed. Something about these strangers felt genuine. Dangerous, perhaps, but honest. They gathered in the council hall. Daehyun pulled up holographic displays that made their own computers look like children's toys. He showed them star charts, historical records, and technical data that Yuna studied with growing disbelief. Your colony ship left Earth in the year 2247, Daehyun explained. Our ship, the Eternal Threshold, left Earth in 2322, 75 years after you. But we possess faster-than-light technology that you don't have. Technology that bends time as well as space. That's impossible, Yuna said. Time dilation on that scale would require quantum manipulation, Daehyun finished. Yes, we know it sounds impossible, but we've been traveling for 20 years by our clock. In objective time, 400 years have passed. We are from your past, but we have arrived in your future. Taeyang spoke up, his voice shaking. Why did you stop here? Daehyun's face grew dark. Because we detected your beacon. And because, he paused, because we need you to understand something. You think you've been forgotten? You think your isolation was abandonment? But you're wrong. Then what was it? Jiho asked. It was salvation, Daehyun said. Your isolation saved you from something that destroyed almost everything else. The room erupted in questions, but Jiho held up his hand. His instincts, honed by decades of leadership, were screaming at him. These people were telling the truth, and that truth was going to change everything. For 3 days, the colonists of New Pyongyang tried to understand what Daehyun was telling them. It seemed impossible. It sounded like a bad dream. Yuna spent every waking hour aboard the Eternal Threshold studying their technology. The ship was like nothing she had ever imagined. The engines alone made her cry. Not from sadness, but from the beauty of it. Everything she had spent her life trying to repair, trying to understand, was primitive compared to this. How does it work? She asked Suji, the ship's scientist, for the 100th time. Suji smiled patiently. The quantum drive doesn't push through space. It folds probability. We exist in multiple states at once, then collapse into the state where we've already arrived at our destination. That's not physics, Yuna said. That's magic. Any sufficiently advanced science looks like magic, Suji replied. Your ancestors would have said the same about your computers. But it wasn't just the technology that frightened Yuna. It was the people. She watched Daehyun's crew work, watched how they moved, how they thought. They were faster, smarter, stronger. Their eyes glowed faintly in the dark, because of some enhancement she didn't understand. They could go days without sleep. They healed from injuries in hours. What did you do to yourselves? She asked Suji one evening. Suji's expression turned sad. We evolved. We had to. After you left Earth, things got harder. Diseases, radiation, genetic problems from space travel. Humanity had to adapt or die. So we chose to adapt. You changed your DNA? Not exactly. We guided our evolution, fixed mistakes, enhanced what worked. We're still human, Dr. Yuna, just a better version. But Yuna wasn't sure about that. Better at what? Surviving? Maybe, but at what cost? Back on the surface, Jiho gathered the colony's leaders every evening. Daehyun joined them, answering questions, showing them records from Earth. But some things didn't add up. Taeyang noticed it first. He spent his days comparing the Eternal Threshold's historical database with New Pyongyang's records. The histories didn't match. Wars that their records showed never happened in Daehyun's database. Technologies developed in different orders. Even the names of some countries were different. I think they're from a parallel timeline, Taeyang told Jiho privately. Every time their ship jumps through space, it might be jumping between realities too. Does Daehyun know? Jiho asked. I don't know. I'm afraid to ask. The colony was splitting into groups. Some people, mostly young ones like Taeyang, were excited. They saw the visitors as heroes, as salvation. They wanted the technology, the enhancements, everything the Eternal Threshold could offer. Others, like Hana, were suspicious. She gathered a group of elders and spoke passionately against accepting help. We survived for 200 years without them, she said at a public meeting. We built this colony with our own hands. Our children were born here. Our loved ones are buried here. This is our home. Do we really want to give that up? Give what up? A young woman shouted back. We're dying, Hana. Our gene pool is too small. Our equipment is failing. In 20 years, we'll be extinct. They're offering us a chance to live. At what price? Hana demanded. Look at them. They're not like us anymore. If we accept what they're offering, we won't be us anymore either. The arguments grew louder. Families divided. Friends stopped speaking to each other. Jiho tried to keep the peace, but he could feel the colony tearing apart. On the 5th night, Daehyun asked to speak with Jiho alone. They walked to the edge of the settlement where the wild lands began. The planet's twin moons cast strange shadows across the ground. I haven't been completely honest with you, Daehyun said. Jiho's hand moved toward his weapon. About what? About why we're here? About what we're running from? Running? Jiho felt cold. You said you were on a colonization mission. We are. But we're also fleeing. Daehyun sat on a rock and looked up at the stars. Something happened, Captain. Something terrible. About 50 years ago, by Earth's calendar, we made contact with something. We still don't know if it's an alien intelligence, an AI, or something else. We call it the convergence. Why, what does it do? It offers unity. It links minds together into one consciousness. No more loneliness, no more conflict, no more pain. Just perfect harmony. Daehyun's voice was bitter. And humanity is losing to it. Not because it forces us, but because when given the choice, most people say yes. Jiho sat down heavily. How many? 70% of human space has joined the convergence. Earth and the core worlds are fighting, but they're losing. Not to weapons or force, but to temptation. The convergence doesn't attack. It simply shows you what unity feels like, and most people can't resist. And you? Your crew? We're the ones who said no. We and 100 other seed ships. Humanity's last hope. We're heading to the Galactic Rim to build new colonies far from the convergence's reach. We're trying to preserve human independence, human choice, human diversity. Why are you telling me this? Daehyun met his eyes. Because your colony is one of the last truly independent human settlements in existence. Your isolation wasn't a curse, Captain. It was a blessing. You're free in a way most of humanity isn't anymore. Then why did you stop here? Why risk exposing us? Because you deserve to know the truth. And because I wanted to meet you, the last humans who chose isolation and survived. Daehyun stood. I can offer you technology. Medicine to fix your genetic problems. Better equipment, knowledge, but I can't stay long. If we remain more than 30 days, we risk being detected. The convergence has scouts everywhere. What if we want more than 30 days? What if we want to join you? Daehyun's expression turned pained. There's a problem with that. The genetic enhancements we carry emit a unique signature. If we optimize your people, the convergence will be able to detect you. Staying here would turn your world into a beacon. They would come. So we have a choice, Jiho said slowly. Accept your help and stay, remaining vulnerable and primitive, or accept optimization and leave our home forever, or reject everything and continue as you are. That's not really a choice. No, Daehyun agreed. It's not, but it's the only one I can offer. Jiho walked back to the settlement alone. Above him, the eternal threshold hung in orbit like a second moon, a ship that shouldn't exist, carrying humans who might not be human anymore, offering a choice that wasn't really a choice at all. He had 30 days to decide the colony's future. 30 days to choose between survival and identity. 30 days to determine what it meant to be human. The weight of it crushed him. The colony meeting hall had never been so crowded. Every colonist who could walk was there. Even the sick had been carried in on stretchers. This was the moment that would define them all. Jiho stood at the front, feeling older than his 45 years. Beside him stood Daehyun, and around the room representatives from both factions glared at each other. We need to vote, Jiho announced. But first, everyone needs to understand what we're voting on. Yuna stepped forward with her datapad. Her hands shook slightly. 3 weeks aboard the Eternal Threshold had changed her. She looked tired, defeated somehow. I've analyzed their technology, she began. Everything they say is true. Their medicine can fix our genetic problems. Their fusion reactors would give us unlimited power. Their FTL drives could reconnect us with human space. She paused. But I've also analyzed our own situation. Without intervention, our colony will fail within 15 years. We don't have enough genetic diversity. Our equipment is breaking down faster than we can repair it. So we need them, someone called out. We need something, Yuna corrected. Whether it's them specifically is the question. Taiyang stood up from the crowd. Gasps rippled through the room. He looked different. His eyes had that same faint glow that Daehyun's crew had. His movements were smoother, more confident. What did you do? Hana's voice cracked with pain. I accepted the optimization, Taiyang said. 3 days ago, Suji gave me the treatment. And now I can think clearer than I ever could before. I can process information faster. I can see patterns I never noticed. He looked around the room. And I can tell you with certainty that without this technology we have no future. The room exploded. People shouted at him, at each other, at Daehyun. Some called Taeyang a traitor. Others called him brave. Jiho had to fire his weapon into the ceiling to restore order. Let him speak, Jiho commanded. Taeyang pulled up a hologram. Numbers and charts filled the air. I've run the calculations. Our population growth can't sustain itself. Even with perfect resource management, even with no accidents or diseases, we'll hit critical failure in 14.3 years. We need genetic diversity we don't have. We need medical technology we can't develop on our own. We need help. Hana stood slowly. She was 52 but looked 70. Life on New Pyongyang aged people fast. Help has a price, boy. Always has. What's the price of becoming like them? Survival, Taeyang said. Identity, Hana countered. Who are you now? Are you still the boy I taught to read? Still the grandson of people who bled for this colony? Or are you something else wearing a familiar face? Taeyang's enhanced eyes met hers. For a moment, pain flickered across his face. I'm still me, Hana, just better. Better, Hana repeated. That's what they all say when they stop being human. Daehyun stepped forward. If I may speak? Jiho nodded. I understand your fear, Daehyun said. We had the same debates on Earth. What does it mean to be human? Is it our DNA? Our limitations? Our suffering? He looked at Taeyang. I believe humanity is defined by our choices, not our biology. Taeyang chose optimization, but he's still making his own choices. He's still independent. That's what makes him human. Pretty words, an old man shouted. But you said yourself that if we get optimized, we can't stay here. That thing you're running from will find us. The convergence, yes. So we choose between being human and being hunted, or becoming like you and losing our home. That's not a choice. There's a third option, Yuna said quietly. Everyone turned to her. We can take their non-invasive technology, medicine that doesn't change our genetics, better equipment, knowledge we can improve without optimizing. Will that be enough? Someone asked. To survive? Probably. To thrive? Maybe not, but it would be our own path. Daehyun nodded. That's acceptable to us. We can provide technology that doesn't emit the signatures the convergence tracks. It won't make you as strong as optimization would, but it will give you a fighting chance. And what do you want in return? Jiho asked. Nothing, Daehyun said. This is a gift. One human colony to another. Nothing's free. This is. Daehyun's expression was sad. You're one of the last free human colonies in existence. Maybe the last. That makes you precious. We won't charge you for your own survival. Later that night, Suji found Yuna sitting alone in her workshop. The engineer was surrounded by broken equipment, tools scattered across tables. She wasn't working, just staring. You haven't slept, Suji said. Can't. Why not? Yuna looked up and Suji was shocked to see tears on her face. Because I've wasted my life. 40 years I've spent trying to understand technology that you mastered centuries ago. I thought I was smart. I thought I was helping my people. But I was just rearranging deck chairs on a sinking ship. Suji sat beside her. That's not true, isn't it? You look at our equipment like it's toys. You see our problems and know exactly how to fix them. You're so far beyond us that we're not even the same species anymore. We're still human, Suji said gently. Are you? Yuna met her eyes. Can you die? Can you fail? Can you feel lost and confused and helpless? Or did you optimize all that away too? Suji was quiet for a long time. You want to know the truth? The real truth? Yes. I envy you, Suji said. You and your people. You struggled and suffered and survived on your own. You made real choices with real consequences. You're genuine in a way we're not anymore. We're better at everything, yes. Stronger, smarter, faster. But we've lost something too. We've lost the struggle that makes victory meaningful. Then why did you do it? Because the alternative was death, and we chose survival over meaning. Suji stood. But you still have a choice. You can choose meaning. That's a gift we gave up. The next morning, Hana asked to speak with Taeyang privately. They met in the memorial garden where the colony buried its dead. Hana's husband was there, her daughter. So many people lost to this harsh world, why? Hana asked simply. Taeyang looked at the graves. Because I didn't want to join them. Because I'm young and I want to live. Because when I looked at the future without optimization, I saw only death. Life is supposed to end, child. That's what makes it precious. Maybe. But I'm not ready for mine to end. Not at 30 from a genetic disease we can't cure. Not watching my children die from the same problem. I chose life, Hana. How can that be wrong? It's not wrong, Hana said sadly. It's just not us. You're leaving. You know that, right? If we vote to stay, you'll have to leave with them. I know. Your family is here. Your history. Everything you've ever known. I know, Taeyang said again, and now his voice cracked. But I can't unknow what I know now. I can't unbecome what I've become.
Even if I wanted to. Hana pulled him into a hug.
He was taller than her now, stronger. But he still cried like the little boy she remembered. Then go, she whispered. Go and live and be happy. But remember us. Remember where you came from. Always. 3 days later, the colony voted. Jiho counted the ballots himself, checking each one 3 times. When he was done, he stood before his people with a heavy heart. The vote is final, he announced. 53% have chosen to stay. 47% have chosen to leave with the eternal threshold. The number was closer than he'd expected. Nearly half the colony was willing to abandon their home for a chance at a better life. Families wept. Friends embraced for the last time. The colony that had survived together for 2 centuries was splitting apart. Daehyun approached Jiho. I'm sorry it came to this. Are you? Jiho asked bitterly. You brought this choice to us. Would you rather have remained ignorant? Died slowly without knowing help existed? Jiho didn't answer. He didn't have an answer. The departure preparations took 7 days. 7 days of packing, saying goodbye, and trying not to cry. 7 days of watching the colony tear itself apart. Jiho's daughter Nari was leaving. She was 23, born here, raised here, but she had chosen the stars over the soil. I don't understand, Jiho told her one evening as she packed her belongings. We gave you everything, a home, safety, purpose. Why isn't that enough? Nari stopped folding clothes and looked at her father. Because I want more than survival, Dad. I want to see other worlds, I want to meet other humans, I want possibilities. You have possibilities here. Do I? Really? She sat on her bed. I'm a farmer, Dad. A good one. But I'll always be a farmer. My children will be farmers. Their children will be farmers. Forever. Because that's all we have here. There's honor in that work. I know. But I want choice. And here, I don't have that. So you'll get optimized? Become like them? Maybe. Maybe not. But I'll have the option. That's worth everything. Jiho wanted to argue more, but what could he say? She was right. New Pyongyang offered survival, but not much else. The visitors offered possibility. For young people like Nari, that was irresistible. Across the settlement, similar conversations were happening. Parents losing children. Friends parting ways. Lovers torn between heart and ambition. The colony was bleeding, and there was nothing anyone could do to stop it. Hana spent those 7 days visiting everyone who was leaving. She brought them gifts, small things from the colony, seeds from earth plants, photos of their ancestors, soil from New Pyongyang in small jars. So you remember, she told each of them. So you know where you came from. Taeyang found her sitting alone in her garden on the 6th day. She looked smaller somehow, older. I thought you'd hate me, Taeyang said. I could never hate you, Hana replied. I'm just sad. Sad that the future you want isn't here. Sad that we failed to make this world enough for you. You didn't fail. This world is amazing. You built something from nothing. But I want to see what else is out there. I know. She handed him a small package. This is from the original colony ship. A data crystal with every song, every book, every piece of art from Earth that we brought with us. Take it. Share it. Let the galaxy know we existed. Taeyang took the crystal with shaking hands. Thank you. Promise me something. Anything. Promise me you'll stay human, no matter how much you change, no matter how far you go. Promise me you'll keep making your own choices. I promise. Meanwhile, Yuna was learning something that changed everything. She had been studying the Eternal Thresholds database, trying to understand their timeline divergence. The deeper she dug, the more confused she became. Finally, she confronted Suji. Your history doesn't match ours. At all. You're not from a later time in our timeline. You're from a different timeline entirely. Suji hesitated, then nodded. We suspected. The quantum drives don't just move through space-time, they move through probability space. Every jump might shift us between parallel realities. Does Daehyun know? Yes. Then everything he told us about the convergence might not even apply to our reality. It might not exist here at all. Suji looked away. That's possible. Yuna felt her world spinning. You let us tear our colony apart over a threat that might not even exist? We don't know that it doesn't exist. The convergence appeared in our timeline. It could appear in yours too. We're trying to warn you. Or you're spreading fear of something that might never come. Maybe. But can you risk it? Can you gamble your entire species on maybe? Yuna reported her findings to Jiho. He called an emergency meeting with Daehyun. Is it true? Jiho demanded. This convergence might not exist in our timeline? Daehyun met his eyes steadily. It's possible, we can't be certain. The mathematics of parallel timelines are complex. But you let us believe it was a certainty. You let us split our colony based on a maybe. Would it have changed your decision? Daehyun asked. Your colony was dying. That's not a maybe. That's a fact. The convergence is one threat, but not the only one. Time will kill you just as surely as any enemy. That was our choice to make. And you made it. The vote happened. People chose based on what they wanted, not just what they feared. Your daughter isn't leaving because she's afraid of the convergence. She's leaving because she wants more than this world offers. Can you honestly say fear was the only motivator? Jiho wanted to argue, but couldn't. Daehyun was right. People were leaving for many reasons. The convergence was just one piece of a larger picture. That night, Suji found Yuna again. The engineer was drunk, something she rarely did. Half-empty bottles littered her workshop. I ruined everything, Yuna slurred. I told them about the timeline divergence. Now everyone's questioning everything. You told them the truth. Did I? What is truth when timelines split? What's real when reality branches? Yuna laughed bitterly. Maybe nothing's real. Maybe we're all just probability waves that haven't collapsed yet. Suji sat beside her. Can I tell you something? Something I haven't told anyone else? Why not? Nothing matters anyway. The convergence isn't what Daehyun says it is. Yuna's drunken eyes focused. What? It's not a conqueror. It's not an invader. It's a choice. A real choice. Suji took a deep breath. It offers unity, shared consciousness, an end to loneliness, to fear, to pain. It connects minds into something greater, and most humans who encounter it choose to join. Not because they're forced, but because they want to. But Daehyun said, Daehyun is afraid. We all are. Because the convergence shows us something terrifying, that given the choice between independence and unity, most humans choose unity. We're the minority, the ones who said no, and we're running not from an enemy but from a truth we can't accept. What truth? That maybe humans aren't meant to be alone. That maybe our individuality is a burden we're ready to put down. That maybe the thing we're fleeing is actually what most of us want. Yuna stared at her. Why are you telling me this? Because your people need to know what they're really choosing. It's not just survival versus identity. It's not even optimization versus stagnation. It's a deeper question. Are humans meant to be separate, or are we meant to be together? Really together. One mind, one consciousness, one being. That's not human, isn't it? We form families, communities, nations. We're always trying to connect. The convergence just takes it to its logical conclusion. Perfect connection. Perfect understanding. Never alone again. Never yourself again either. Maybe that's the price. Or maybe that's the reward. I don't know anymore. Suji stood. But I know this. Your colony is choosing. Some will stay separate. Some will join us. And someday, maybe some will join the convergence. All of those are valid choices. That's what makes us human. The choosing itself. The night before departure, the colony held a ceremony. Everyone gathered, those leaving and those staying. They shared food, sang songs, told stories. For one last night, they were one people. Jiho stood before them all. Tomorrow we separate, but tonight we're family. We're the people of New Pyongyang, the survivors, the stubborn ones who refuse to die. His voice cracked. I'm proud of all of you, those leaving and those staying. You're all brave. You're all making impossible choices. That's the human way. As the night grew late, people began to drift away. Goodbyes were said. Tears were shed. Promises were made to remember, to stay in touch, to never forget. Hana sat alone under the stars. Jiho found her there. You all right? He asked. No, she said honestly. But I will be, eventually. We always are. Are we doing the right thing? There is no right thing. There's just choices and consequences, and hope that we chose well. Above them, the eternal threshold glowed in the night sky. Tomorrow it would leave, taking half the colony with it. Tomorrow New Pyongyang would be smaller, quieter, lonelier, but it would still be home. The shuttle made 7 trips. Each time it rose into the sky, Jiho felt his heart tear a little more. 5,600 colonists were leaving. More than half of them were young. The future of New Pyongyang was flying away. Nari was on the 3rd shuttle. She hugged her father one last time at the landing pad. I'll send messages, she promised. As often as I can. The time dilation, Jiho said. You'll be gone for 20 years by the ship's clock. Decades will pass here. I might not be alive when you respond. Then I'll send them to whoever comes after you. I'll tell them about you. About this place. About what we chose. She kissed his cheek. I love you, Dad. I love you too. Be safe, be happy. Be human. She smiled through tears and walked toward the shuttle. Jiho watched until she disappeared inside. Then he walked away before anyone could see him cry. Taeyang was on the last shuttle. He found Hana in her garden one final time. I planted something for you, Hana said, pointing to a small tree. It'll take 20 years to grow. Maybe when you send your first message back, it'll be blooming. What kind of tree? Earth cherry blossom. From the last seeds we had, it seemed fitting. Something beautiful and temporary, like us. Taeyang knelt beside it, touching the small trunk gently. His enhanced fingers could feel the life flowing through it. I'll remember. Every day. Good, now go. They're waiting. He stood, hesitated, then hugged her. She felt so small in his arms, so fragile. He realized with his enhanced awareness that she was dying. Slowly but surely. She might have 5 years left, maybe less. Take the treatment, he whispered. Please, it could save you. I'm old, child. I've had my time. Let me die as I lived, human, simple, mine. That's not fair. Life never is. Now go before I change my mind and chain you here. He left. Hana watched the last shuttle rise into the sky and disappear into the eternal threshold's hangar. Then she sat among her plants and wept. Inside the eternal threshold, Daehyun found Jiho on the bridge one last time. They had transferred all the promised technology. Medical equipment, fusion reactor designs, communication systems, databases full of knowledge. Everything except the optimization. This is it, Daehyun said. We'll leave orbit within the hour. Where will you go? Further out. To the rim. To find a world where the convergence can't reach. Where we can be human on our own terms. He held out a small device. This is quantum encrypted. Coordinates to other free colonies. And a warning beacon. If the convergence ever comes to your timeline, Activate it. We'll hear it somehow somewhen. Jiho took it. Will I ever see my daughter again? Honestly? Probably not. Time dilation makes it difficult. But she'll think of you. I promise you that. I don't know if that makes it better or worse. Both. Like everything else. Daehyun extended his hand. It's been an honor, Captain. You and your people showed me something I'd forgotten. What's that? That humanity isn't about being the strongest or smartest or most advanced. It's about choosing who you want to be even when it hurts. Especially when it hurts. They shook hands. Then Jiho returned to the surface. He stood with the remaining colonists and watched the Eternal Threshold's engines ignite. The ship accelerated smoothly, gracefully, impossibly. Within minutes it was gone, leaving only a fading trail of light. 6,400 colonists remained. Fewer than before, but still alive. Still free, still themselves. The next 20 years were hard. Rebuilding was always hard. But the technology Daehyun left helped. The medical equipment fixed genetic problems. The fusion reactors provided unlimited power. The communication systems let them map their entire solar system. Yuna threw herself into work. She studied every piece of technology, understanding it, improving it. She couldn't match the Eternal Threshold's quantum drives, but she developed something different. A slower FTL drive that didn't bend probability, didn't shift timelines. It was purely theirs. It'll take decades to reach anywhere interesting, she told Jiho. But it's ours. We built it. We understand it. That matters, Jiho, now in his 60s, nodded. Yes, it does. Hana lived longer than expected. 5 years became 8, then 10. She refused all but the most basic medical treatment, accepting only pain relief and simple medicines. She spent her last years teaching children about Earth, about the colony's history, about the choice they had made. Remember, she told them in her final days, being human isn't about being perfect. It's about being real, being yourselves, making your own mistakes and your own victories. She died peacefully in her garden, surrounded by flowers and students. They buried her under the cherry blossom tree Taiyang had planted. It was in full bloom. The messages from the Eternal Threshold came sporadically. Due to time dilation, years would pass on New Pyongyang. Then suddenly a burst of messages would arrive, all sent by the ship over the course of weeks. Nari's messages came too. She had been optimized, she admitted. The decision was hers. She was happy, healthy, exploring worlds beyond imagination. She missed home but didn't regret leaving. You taught me to choose, one message said. To decide who I want to be. I chose this. I hope that makes you proud, Dad. Jiho recorded a response he knew might never be answered in his lifetime. I am proud. Always. Choose well. Choose freely. That's all I ever wanted. 20 years after the Eternal Threshold left, something appeared at the edge of the solar system. Hundreds of ships. Massive. Strange. Using technology that made even the visitors seem primitive. Jiho, now 70, stood in the command center that had been upgraded with Daehyun's technology. His hands shook as he watched the sensor readings. They're broadcasting, Yuna said. She was 58 now, her hair gray but her mind sharp as ever. In every human language, including ours, the message played through the command center. We are the convergence. We are unity. We are peace. We do not conquer, we invite. You have a choice. The colony gathered in emergency session. Everyone who could attend was there. The generation born after the separation. The elders who remembered everyone between. This is what Daehyun warned us about, someone said. In his timeline, Yuna countered. Not necessarily ours, but it's here anyway. What do they want? The same thing everyone wants, Jiho said quietly. They want us to join them, to give up our independence for unity, to stop being separate and become part of something bigger. What do we do? Jiho looked around the room, at faces young and old, hopeful and fearful, determined and uncertain. His people, his family, the descendants of those who had survived 2 centuries of isolation. We choose, he said. Like we always have. The vote was quick. Nearly unanimous. Some abstained, uncertain. A few voted yes, curious about unity. But the overwhelming majority voted no. Jiho personally composed the response message. He kept it simple. We are New Pyongyang. We are the colony that survived alone. We have been offered unity before. We have been offered optimization. We have been offered salvation. We have always chosen ourselves. We choose ourselves now. We are human. We are independent. We are free. We respectfully decline your invitation." He broadcast it on all frequencies. Then he waited. The Convergence ships remained in orbit for 3 days. They sent no threats, no arguments, no further offers, just silence. On the 4th day, they left. Simply turned and accelerated away into deep space. "Why did they leave?" a young colonist asked. "They could have forced us." "The Convergence doesn't force," Yuna explained. "According to Suji, it only takes those who choose to join. Force would defeat the entire purpose." "Then why did Daehyun run?" "Because he was afraid that given the choice, most humans would say yes." And he was right. But we said no. That's what makes us different. News of their refusal spread. The quantum-encrypted beacon Daehyun left activated automatically, broadcasting their choice across the hidden network of free human colonies. Responses came back over the following months. Other colonies had faced the Convergence. Some had joined. Some had fled. But New Pyongyang was the first to simply refuse and watch them leave. Why us? Jiho wondered. Why did they respect our choice? Yuna had a theory. Because we're genuinely free. We've been alone so long, isolated so completely, that we have no doubt about who we are. Most colonies are afraid, uncertain, looking for something to belong to. We already belong. To ourselves. To each other. To this world. The Convergence recognizes absolute conviction, and ours was absolute. 10 years later, Jiho stood on the Memorial Hill. 2 monuments stood there now. The old distress beacon finally deactivated, and beside it a new monument, 2 paths carved in stone, diverging into the distance. One path was marked those who left, the other, those who stayed. Between them, words were carved of both chose freedom. Jiho was 80 now. His daughter's messages still came, though she was experiencing only 15 years to his 30. She had children of her own, living on a colony world thousands of light years away. She was happy. Yuna visited him, walking slowly with a cane. The new ship is ready for its first test flight. Our ship? Our ship. Built with our hands, using principles we understand. It's slow, but it's ours. Where will it go? Nowhere yet. Just orbit. Then maybe the outer planets. Then someday the stars. But on our schedule. Our way, Jiho smiled. That's the human way. It's our way. Maybe that's the same thing. They stood together, 2 old survivors looking at the stars. Somewhere out there, the eternal threshold was still.